Hi, I'm Forrest Griffin.
Brian Caraway.
And Lisa Tate.
What's up, guys? This is Joseph Benavidez, UFC flyweight.
Hi, this is Greg Jackson, and you're listening to It's MMAzing, and that is an amazing pun.
Get it? Like MMA, but amazing? Amazing.
Radio.
Welcome to It's MMAzing Radio. I am your host, Dr. Law. With me, as always, DJ Mark.
What's up?
Also joining me this week, Lavender Gooms.
Hey, guys.
Unfortunately, no kid presentable this week. Our man got stuck this afternoon with that needle, steroids. Got to get yoked. Got to get yoked. Got to get jacked, man.
If you hadn't told me, I would have thought you meant that sweet Lady H.
No. Got to get on that T. The testosterone, a couple different ways. Stefan's coming back yoked. Be ripping phone books and shit.
I was thinking the stuck in, what was that movie? 28 Days or 36 Days? When he got his arm stuck in the rock.
That was a
some
rough
time period, right? That was what the movie was called, 3 months or something.
That was a rough
I
one.
can't remember.
27 hours? 127 hours?
That's something like that.
Some shit like that.
27 hours, you would have been like, man, you gave up too quickly.
Hard to tell time when you're stuck under a rock. Has it been 3 hours or 8 days? I don't know.
Folks, this past week, a lot happened, but really not a lot happened. There was a bunch of MMA going on. Unequivocally, Bellator put on a better card this weekend than the UFC. Not like it matters, because we are where we are in the MMA world. PFL had some controversy. PFL had Miss Kayla Harrison talking that shit after mauling a girl. I really enjoy Kayla Harrison. She's fucking people up. Clarissa Shields is calling her out. Can't grapple. Calling out Olympic judo champion. Brilliant. Talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about something happened in the news this week, I'm sure. Diego Sanchez was upside down and got hit with the belt.
Some guy stole a hat, but, what else is new in the world?
Wait, what happened?
The whole Jake Paul stealing. Got you.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Paul stole Floyd Mayweather.
We're going to definitively discuss, was that a work? Or was that a shoot?
We're gonna break it down second by second.
That was not a work. That was not a work. And you know how I know it wasn't a work? I know this as a pseudo black man. There's no way that's a work because
he let his hair out.
Floyd Mayweather's hair looked fucked up. All right, my man's shit was frayed. All right, he did not have his allotment of Bayesian that he dropped on his head because his shit looked wrecked.
By the way, I like that. I like that Mike watches wrestling now. So when I say things like "Is it a work or a shoot?" motherfucker doesn't bat an eye. He's like, "Yeah, the whole world is wrestling, baby. We all know."
I think that all comes down to perspective. From Jake's perspective, that was a work.
Yeah.
From Floyd, that was a fucking shoot. One dude knew what was going to happen. The other one had no idea.
Yeah. At this point, by the way, if you don't watch wrestling, I feel you know what a work and a shoot is at this point. So you should be okay.
Fake or real?
Fake,
shoots real.
Side note: I was listening to the New Day podcast, and Big E was talking about his issues with Handmaid's Tale, and he was talking about how depressing the last season was. He's like, man, it was so depressing. There was no hope spot or anything to make me think it was going to turn around.
Wait. The last season was depressing.
I think so.
Seasons are depressing.
Well, I don't know, but when he said there was no hope spot in this Hulu drama, I'm like, man, Big E been a wrestler too long talking about hope spots. All right, yeah, we're gonna talk about these events this past week. We're gonna talk about some news this week. Apparently, Scott Coker's baffled that we all think MVP's a can crusher.
What? All these cans he's crushed. How can we think that?
There's a pile of cans behind him. What do you want me to do?
You just went to the recycle center and made off with a fresh
It's not
what are you talking about?
It's like that Eric Andre meme where he shoots the guy and says, "Why would he do that?" or whatever. That's what this is.
Yep.
And we're also going to preview UFC 262, the pay-per-view this weekend. Lost Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards.
Shame.
Just lost Edmund Shabazian and Dancing Jack Hermanson, which is too bad. We still got a pretty badass main event, though. We got Charles Oliveira. We got Michael Chandler. I listened to Michael Chandler on the Pat McAfee show the other day. It's nice to see him against a mainstream pub. Anyway, let's get into it. Marcus, Marina Rodriguez, Michelle Watterson. Mm-hmm. They put this shit together so quickly that we didn't have picks for it last week.
Were they even picked on? Were they going to fight in this card at all?
I don't know, but I don't think they went 5 rounds.
I know. rough. That's tough.
Marina wants Joanna at the end of this fight. Do you see anything that makes you think, yeah, fucking let's do it? Or is Joanna going to be able to put this away?
I mean, I think that's a really intriguing fight. This fight was almost all stand up. And Rodriguez won those exchanges. And I think, for Watterson, she has a very unique style. She has a great sidekick that can kind of keep people at bay. But this whole fight, she was reactive to everything. She was never really on the offensive. So she was just reacting to what Rodriguez was doing to her. Until the fourth round, she was able to get her down and keep her down. And that was a real bright spot for her. I think a lot of the rounds were close, but Rodriguez was just outpacing her, by a good margin. So I think a fight with her and Joanna, on paper is really intriguing because she showed a lot of good stand-up skills. So her and Joanna, yeah, I didn't know she called out that fight, but that makes a lot of sense to me. So
well,
yeah,
this was her.
Together.
This was her first fight at 125 pounds, which makes kind of answers the why did we do this at I mean, Joanna's fight. Joanna's fighting
30.
Joanna fights at 115. This was at 25.
Right. Okay.
Might have been because we put. I don't know when they put this fight together.
I believe the reason why it was at 125 is because it was on such short notice.
Why did they have to go 5 rounds? Like, what the fuck?
Is it like a main event thing, like a clause that like it has to be 5?
No, Bellator has 3-round main
events.
Well, yeah,
Bellator's. I don't know if it's like a UFC. I think it's like a UFC clause, right? Because they're going to get paid so much. They're going to get back end points. Whatever. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. None of us can tell you if this fight was even booked beforehand at all, though. So I don't know. Michelle loses another one, but Marina's got a real trend here of beating the people that the UFC likes more than her. Amanda Ribas, Michelle Watterson. Good way to ingratiate yourself to the UFC. Okay, we should bring Paige Van Zandt back for her to beat her. Donald Cerrone got that ass whooped, Mike. Donald Cerrone got wrecked in 4 minutes 40 seconds by Alex Morano, who I always wonder, is this the one that's from Team Alpha Male? No, it's not. Never mind. Morano coming into this fight off of a loss to Anthony Pettis. Just, you know what, man? Made Donald Cerrone look old.
Yeah. Lost in about in a minute 20. This is 5 losses in a row for Donald Cerrone. Pretty sure it'd be 6 losses in a row because I think one of his was overturned. I think against Nico Price. No, that one was actually a draw. Looking at it now.
No, that was a no contest because Nico got on that ganja.
Yeah. But it's a sad state of affairs. We all kind of thought that Cerrone might be pretty done, and by maybe, I think we were all pretty sure about that, considering how many losses he's had. We held out hope that maybe it was just because, well, look at the caliber of a competition he had fought in. That 4-fight losing streak before, it was Tony Ferguson, Gaethje, McGregor, Anthony Pettis, guys that people lose to. So maybe we held out hope that, all right, well, he's not a top echelon guy anymore, but maybe he can, finish the likes of Alex Morano. I think we're right about at the end for Donald Cerrone, and even the UFC has alluded to that with Dana White coming out today and saying that he'll give Cerrone one more fight, and he has to win that fight to stay in the promotion. So, thanks for the memories, kid.
Yeah, we'll see what Donald's up to, what they give him in his last fight. There's still a card every week on ESPN they need people to need bodies for. And, people like Donald. So we'll see what he draws. And he's given us a lot, quite frankly. So that's not like a Diego Sanchez situation, too, where you're like, man, anything about this guy's personal life, whatever he said, but this guy's given us a lot of TV, quite frankly.
For sure.
In the entertainment business, this man's got a lot of cage time. Neil Magny is 1 win away from tying George St. Pierre's record for most welterweight wins in UFC history. And Neil Magny's the most ho-hum welterweight in the world, and I love it. He's just out here existing. Jeff Neal talked about having some real fucked up medical issues beforehand. Why'd you fight? We know the answer, money. Neil Magny after the fight said, he doesn't think Khamzat, he says, I'm not taking another fight with Khamzat because it's been booked 3 times and I can't keep training for a guy who's not there.
Fair.
3 times. And then Neil Magny, and like the most like meek way ever, he's like, I don't think Khamzat wants to fight me. It's like, okay, man, I had COVID and almost died, Neil, but sure. Let's go with that.
He's about to pack up his stuff and go home. So.
Yeah, he's about to go home. But yeah, I get it, man. You spend money every time there's a training camp. You know, you got to
absolutely.
Everybody got to eat. Your coach isn't going to be like, well, no money for me because you didn't get paid. It's like, the coach has got wife and kids. You got to feed them.
We don't talk about it, but there's kind of like, I mean, there's obviously a written contract, but there's kind of like this bond between those two fighters. It's like, look, I'm going to be there and make weight on this date so we can get fucking paid. And when a dude flakes out on you 3 times, I mean, whether they're valid or not, it's just like, I don't know if I want to do business with that guy right now. Like, I need someone that's going to be there and I get a paycheck. Yeah,
that's why they always apologize. If I'm often with like their opponent, a lot of times, you hear a guy, I apologize to you for not being there because there's an expectation I was going to be there for you. So, and when a camp, gets started, gets stopped, you spend money. Hell, man, Leon Edwards got to pay for another month of camp.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, the biggest expense, and a lot of times it's a portion of what they make.
Yeah.
It's usually they're not paying gym fees and shit. But yeah, it's a commitment. It's like a lot of people say, don't fuck with my money, man. And that's what it is. Like you were contractually obligated to make this date so these two guys can fight, but ultimately get paid. And keep the money flowing, to pay the bills that these guys have to pay every month. So it's not easy. And yeah, if someone keeps flaking on you, we know the UFC doesn't always, I mean, sometimes they do when you get screwed over big time, but if there's an injury, they're not paying show money because you were ready to go and your opponent wasn't. So yeah, it's a big commitment. So I don't blame them for being like, yeah, I'm getting off that train, and get someone that's reliable. It makes sense to me.
Yep. Gregor Gillespie, the best fisherman in MMA, was back. Got a win over Carlos Diego Ferreira in the fight of the night. Carlos showed up 5 pounds overweight, so his fight of the night money went to Gregor. Mike, genuinely surprised the UFC didn't just pocket the other half of the money.
I think there would have been a pretty big uproar if the UFC had just said, "Ooh,
by
50
who?
G's, let me put that in my pocket."
By who? By who? Who's gonna give the uproar? What difference?
That would have been pretty egregious.
What different? I'm legitimately surprised they didn't.
But you know what? I'm really happy for Gregor because getting a fight of the night bonus is awesome. Getting your opponent's fight of the night bonus plus, from what is it, 30% of his purse? Real nice. That is a very nice payday for Mr. Gregor. He can get himself a real big old fishing boat now.
Gregor's got 1,000 shares of Endeavor. I'm looking at his Twitter account. 1,000 shares of Endeavor. All right. Man dropped 25 grand on that first day of that IPO. I think it's around $30 right now. So he's up. He's doing okay. He's up 5 grand. Not bad. So yeah, this UFC card held together with duct tape, toothpicks, etc. They got it done. Back next week with the pay-per-view. On Friday, the PFL happened, where Fabricio Verdum got fucked. And Fabricio had Renan Ferreira in a triangle choke. I think he was going towards, was it like a triangle armbar at one point, or was it just a triangle choke, Marcus? I thought he was going...
from what I remember, it mostly was a triangle. I don't really see the arm get extended. So, I don't think that's where the tap came into play.
Oh, then Renan went for the, they called it the Brazilian tap, which is you just give a quick tap, the guy loosens up, you start pounding some more.
To be honest, did you guys both see it, Mike? Did you get to see this fight? Did you guys notice the tap real time, like before? Because Bobby told me what happened. I was looking for it, and I was like, I didn't even see it. I was like, what?
So
I thought it might have happened, but
I didn't notice the tap in real time in the slow-mo and watching it again. Like, I wasn't exactly sure what a Brazilian tap is, but then I noticed what it is. You don't tap repeatedly. What it is that you give one just good tap.
I did two. He did two of them though.
He had like right before he had like a little mini tap and then like a bigger tap. So there was like 2 taps.
And the referee was in the wrong position entirely.
He was, and even if I was the referee, that would have been a weird, because even in the slow mo, he does a mini tap, he does the big tap without any hesitation. He then punches, and it's like, okay, when you tap, like you're done.
Well, I thought there was a tap also because I was just like, how did he just get out of that? I was just like, that shit was a wrap. He was in a Fabricio triangle.
No, he was pounding his face the whole time.
And then
that's one reason why. I'm sorry to interrupt, Bobby, but that's one reason why you shouldn't get mad at people that hold that bitch until the referee literally pulls them
No.
off for shit like that.
At some point, and we'll probably talk about this later, our new podcast idea. We'll watch UFC 1, and you'll see Royce Gracie tap out Ken. Ken tapped twice. The referee didn't see it. There's a big kerfuffle. Ken, being a man of honor, as we all know him to be, admitted he tapped. The fight was over. His next fight with, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy that kicked the sumo wrestler in the head. Gerard
Gordeau or something like that? Yeah.
He tapped on Royce. He tapped on the referee. He was tapping all. He was playing the bongos over there.
He was like, basically drowning, is what it looked like.
Royce did not let go. He's like, okay, I understand now. These fuckers got to go unconscious. But to this point, yeah, he did the tap. He immediately started punching, and I didn't really see Verdum, like, it didn't look like he released it at all. I mean, I have to look at it again to see like if he even like untensed at all. But I honestly, like Bobby said, they reversed it to a no contest, which I was kind of surprised. I kind of thought it was like, you know what, this is just one of those things. Sometimes you don't see a tap. Sometimes it wasn't really a tap. It's questionable. I mean, for Verdum, it sucks if he let that go or released at all. But at the same time, it looked like he never really let go of the triangle, and he should know, like, you don't stop it until the referee stops it. So I'm kind of surprised they reversed course, but it doesn't seem unfair.
Well,
it seemed questionable. You shouldn't be doing.
I think no contest was a fair result there. Maybe we run it back.
I'm not bitter about it.
And Fabricio Verdum, the owners of the PFL, famously called him the Tom Brady of MMA.
Okay, what does that mean? You some balls?
Just look at Mike's face.
Does he kiss his children in the mouth as well?
Yeah, don't talk about how legendary he is. Old man Verdum,
okay,
still them.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying PFL's better like production than Bellator. And not that Bellator's is bad, but like they're doing a really good job over there, PFL. You can see the money behind the program. You can see they got some investors. I'm not sure how much you guys saw, but it looks like a real top tier setup over there. It's nice to see.
It's an intriguing formula too that has been tried in the past. I mean, obviously they've been doing it for a while. They've turned into the PFL for a couple of years now, but it does remind me, you know, maybe a better oiled machine than the IFL, right? Where that was more of like a team base. Because I'm Bobby, and this is probably the first time I saw any PFL really. They do like a whole point structure, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, quick six. I guess that's a finish in the first round or something.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I think that's a really fun way to invest your audience and the fighters to be like, okay, it's not just about, because, you know, in UFC, it's all about getting a W, right? Whether you get a decision or a quick win, get that W, get your win money, climb the ranks. That's how you do it. You know, if you can garner some fans by being exciting, that's all the better. But having this actual point structure to be like, yeah, getting a decision is not as impressive as winning in the first round. That incentivizes you to go after. I think it's really cool. I think it's a cool mechanic or gimmick or whatever you call it.
So, I mean, something smart. Eric Bischoff said when Eric Bischoff used to run a competitive wrestling organization in the 90s, competitor to the WWF at the time, where he said he said my strategy was I can't do what they do because I'm never going to do what they do as well as they do. I need to do something totally different. So that's why he made, you know, it was a totally different show back then. They made a totally different product with, you know, any number of reasons. Not going to get into the wrestling thing right now, but I like that about PFL because they very much are just like, we need to do what the UFC doesn't do. And Bellator does that too with the tournaments, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
I like the thing where we're going to do something different because that's the only way it's going to work. You're not going to be there doing the same thing and just being, because you're always going to be viewed as lesser than at that point.
It's true.
Which is fine. You can do that. I mean, LFA or whatever it's called, they're just going to be lesser than the UFC and stuff like that. And I mean, it's going to be hard for Bellator or PFL not to be viewed that way, but you want to be different. You want to be provide an alternative, not a lesser version of the same thing. So I like that about both these organizations, quite frankly, what they're doing. Kayla Harrison, man. Did anybody watch any of that?
I didn't. I should have.
Kayla Harrison spent a minute and 20 seconds beating this woman's ass. Mariana Moraes didn't have a fucking prayer. Said this tournament, afterwards she got on the mic, said this tournament is a coronation, how she runs that cage, and she runs any cage she's in. And I'm just like, God damn, Kayla Harrison. It's what I like to hear.
Was this her first fight, or does she have a couple?
Oh, she's got a bunch at this point for the PFL.
Okay.
I think she won the tournament last year for them.
Oh, okay. I'm way behind then.
Yeah, but Kayla fights at 155, I think it is, which is not going to happen. I mean, you can't even be like, oh, give me Cyborg. With Cyborg might be thrilled not to cut weight, but there isn't really people there. But you know what?
mean,
if she's a big enough deal, you can make it happen.
I guess you got to bring the attention to you, and if it's at least good shit talk and a good promo, I'm all for it. But can you really be boasting how great you are when there's like 3 chicks in your division? Like,
I mean, you got yourself an Olympic medal, and you're fucking people up like this. I'm on board. Yeah, she's 9-0 now, I believe. 30 years old. Look, man, with all these women's divisions, you just need somebody to show up and make it, a thing. I mean, how many, BJ Penn showed up, lightweight became a thing, Yeah. More people show up, maybe these weight classes become a thing. I don't know how many 115-pound, 125-pound women there were, but for the longest time, it was just 135.
Yeah,
that mattered.
That is kind of the rub, though, is that in the lower weight divisions, you still have a wide range of athletes, of smaller guys that fit that range. I think what's tougher with the women's division is just like the pool of women that are interested in combat sports and going into MMA is smaller, and then you get even smaller when you go up into those higher weight classes. I don't know what the average height and weight of a woman is or a female athlete is, but I think 155 it's getting up into the higher territory. At least that's what we've seen historically, where you don't see a lot of talent.
You don't think it's anybody? Weights. I don't think it's going to be like you're not going to see the result of any spark she might light now. It's going to have to be like in 5-6 years where we see more of them. And then all of a sudden there's tough with 155-pound women.
But women's MMA is getting bigger in 55. And I think this tournament where you can win a lot of money might entice some girls.
According to Healthline, the average woman American woman, so maybe, caveat here. You already know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
The average American woman, stands at 5 feet 4 inches and 170 pounds.
There we go. Let's got some weight.
There we
go.
That would actually lead you to think we should have a fair amount of women.
Somebody else was on the judo team with her, man. Somebody else was on the
too. Because men is going to be like, it's probably going to be exactly what I am, like 5'9", 5'10", like 210 pounds. Like, okay, well, there's a discrepancy between the average man and
America. All right, here's what I'm figuring out. America is fat. The average American man weighs 197 pounds.
Oh, damn, I'm overweight.
Me too. What's the height though? Tell them smaller than 5'5"?
5'9".
Oh my!
Oh man, if you said 5'5", I was like, damn, I'm average height.
Taller, but I got some pounds on that too.
It's either America's fat or I'm very, very skinny. I'm very, very skinny.
I mean, if everybody's fat, I guess average at that point.
Because this is like 30 pounds more than what I weigh.
Anyway, PFL, Kayla Harrison out there doing big things. And Clarissa Shields is one of their signees. Clarissa Shields, my understanding, is the best female boxer in this country.
Training out of Jackson's.
I don't know how quickly you want to see her get mauled by a bear, because that's what it's going to look like if
she in the 55 range.
I think she's that size because she was there to watch. I think that's what you eventually got to get there.
I mean, that just makes sense.
I mean, that's
Clarissa Shields had an MMA fight yet?
I don't think so. Maybe I don't know. Don't they have like an amateur series down there too? COVID happened is a factor in this. I don't know how many amateur fights the Jackson Wink series is going on.
I don't know.
Yeah, man. PFL was on ESPN when this was just a straight up regular ESPN too. ESPN as well, not ESPN 2, which big deal. It's nice that they got that deal. And anyway, Bellator happened. We lost Rumble versus Yoel. It's a goddamn tragedy. But man, Marcus, the Jose Ortega, I believe his name was. I'm not.
Yeah, or was it Augusto? Something I can't remember.
Jose was Augusto.
Augusto, I think that sounds right.
Jose Augusto.
Yeah. I'm going with it.
What did he crack Rumble? Was it the left? Did he crack Rumble with?
Left because, interestingly enough, he was doing very well for himself, and he was actually landing that right straight on Rumble fairly consistently. It was actually when he tried to I think he was having success with the right straight, and he thought, you know what, let's put a little bit more mustard on this hot dog, and he tried to go for an overhand right, and that's when he hit him on the top of the dome and probably broke his hand. So he was left with his left, which also seemed to be a good strategy. The big punch he cracked him with was a left hook, followed up with an uppercut and another left hook, which dropped Rumble, had him seriously hurt. He followed up and was doing some ground and pound, on the ground with the left. But Rumble was able to survive, to his credit, and get out of that round. But that was scary. That was a tough round for Rumble.
You know what? For a guy where we always wonder, Rumble doesn't do well when things start going bad in a fight for him. And I know this wasn't him fighting fucking John Jones or Daniel Cormier again or anything, but he hasn't fought in 4 years. He came back from some adversity here. In the second round, he ruined Jose Ortega's face and consciousness. Overall, I don't think this was the worst thing that happened to him, to go out there and get shake the cobwebs loose before you fight a fucking weird puzzle in Yoel Romero.
Yeah, and I think the way he reacted to it was positive too. He was really down on himself and upset that he got caught. In all the post-fight interviews that I watched, I just heard him say he was mad that he got caught.
Yeah, he was.
He hadn't gotten, because I think you look at the other fights he lost, and like you said, Bobby, sometimes when things aren't going his way, he's not able to turn the tables, but that's mostly in a grappling orientation where he's just getting out grappled, he's getting tired. He hadn't really gotten outstruck before, and I think this kind of woke him up, and he was kind of damn, even I can get caught. So hopefully, I think his takeaway was yeah, I'm going to go back to the gym, we're going to shore up some of my deficiencies, which was really him not getting his right hand back up after he throws. The left hook landed because he threw a body shot and he did not get his hand back up to defend. And that's why Augusto was able to land that left hook. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think, if Romero was in there, who knows how this fight would have gone, because Romero just hits like a jackhammer, but Augusto does too. That
Romero would have just stood there and looked at him.
That's true. I mean, the fight would have been wildly
different. So they're saying, assuming Wikipedia is accurate, Rumble's facing Nemkov next, which... I'm excited for that one.
That's
goddamn.
going to be a tough fight for Rumble because
the other side
and has good grappling.
The other side is Bader versus Corey Anderson. I'm happy I'm not watching Corey Anderson versus Anthony Johnson. I'll be honest with you. I'm cool with those other guys being on the other side. I like how this is structured in a way where I get to let's just book the fucking fights we want to see. And this is, and I think the way they did the seeding is really the number 1 seed was Nemkov and probably the number 2 seed was Bader. And you want to keep them away from each other.
Yeah.
That type of thing. I like what Bellator is doing there, man. I'm all about this tournament. You lost a guy, but, put on a banger of a fight still with the replacement, a member of the Pitbull team. Also on this show, MVP ruined Derek Anderson's face, his nose specifically, he'll be breathing out of his mouth for a while. Derek Anderson has been suspended 120 days by the Athletic Commission, which apparently exists over there at the Mohegan Sun, because he lied on his medical records going into the fight, because he had said after the fight that he had spent 4 trips to the hospital during this camp for kidney issues. And he did not say that on his pre-fight medicals. Which
it's not good when you have kidney issues and it's I need to cut. Well, I guess he didn't have to cut weight. He didn't have to cut weight for this, right? He was way undersized, but still, you have to disclose that stuff.
You shouldn't be
fighting, bro.
Well. You
shouldn't be fighting. I'm not saying he would have won this fight, but you shouldn't have been fighting. That's a rough one.
Gotta put your health ahead. But
MVP did the type of performance we expect from MVP, but I mean, we really down on him.
He's great at crushing cans.
I don't think Derek Anderson's a can, but now knowing the information, he was fucking in the hospital 4 different times. There's that.
Before this fight, when we talked about this last week, all right, we had mentioned that the guy was a solid fighter, but at the weight class below. Yeah. So can we really call him? All right. I think I've come up with the perfect compromise. At 155, solid guy.
He's a contender at 55, actually.
Contender. But when you are an undersized welterweight fighting someone like MVP, then you are converted into a can. 55, not a can. 170, can.
There's a can conversion, and there's level of cans. This wasn't a can that was already pre-crushed and was sitting out in the sun for 3 weeks, and it was just ready to crumble on its own. You had to put a little effort into it, but I mean, yeah, we give MVP a hard time because we know he has a world of potential. And that
we think he did.
We think
he does.
I mean, look, we talk about his one fight he lost against Lima, who's a fantastic fighter. That's not a guy I'm going to hold it against that you lost to in a fun fight, in a back and forth fight where you got cracked. But at some point, like Bobby said, we're all about building a guy and letting him, letting a star shine a little bit and letting him get highlight reel knockouts. But at some point, you do have to test him a little bit. And it seemed like that's what the Lima fight was. We're putting him in a legit tournament and let's see if he sinks or swim. And he sunk. And then it's like, well, now let's give him more feeders. And it's like, it's hard.
We didn't need to go back to fucking square one. Is why I think our big problem with it. Like you didn't have to give him that fight, man. We could have fought a guy in the level of Derek Anderson next. Like that would have made sense to fight after Lima, not make him crush 2 years of cans again. Like what are we doing?
His normal cans are hearty tomato cans, right? Old, a little busted. This one was like a soda can, right? Nice and pristine, but it's made out of aluminum, so it's a little lighter.
Well, I was gonna say, soda can easy to crush, tomato can tough to crush. But now we're getting into can mechanics and stuff. We need Bobby, steer us out of here.
Yeah, I was just zoning out during that whole thing. I'm just like,
and when MVP wins, he likes to celebrate by doing the can.
There you go.
So Scott Coker, and like I know we all like to act like Scott Coker somehow, the moral good person in this whole equation of MMA promoters. He's just a fucking promoter, okay, that offers less insurance than the fucking UFC one does. All right. When this dude says he's baffled by Can Crusher comments towards Michael Page. Baffled. Scotty Coker. Come on, brother.
Come on,
brother.
You can do better than that.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Like you're the one serving up the cans. You have a cart full of cans. You go to the store. What do you want me to do? Something's my fault. You're standing next to the cans. There's a pile of cans. Right?
I mean, look, we'll tell Scott Coker exactly how we determine the canniness of any fighter. You look on the Wikipedia page. Does he have a page? Look, if he wants to build these guys he's fighting, or if these guys he's fighting are more legit than what we think because we can't see their record because Wikipedia doesn't have a page, get your IT person and say, look we got to build up some cans here.
We met the PR team. Get that guy with the slick back hair. Just get him back there on Wikipedia for a day, man. Okay?
Give him a page. Give him a bio. Look, tell me how badass he is.
Yeah.
Props to Scott Coker, though.
For lying through his teeth.
His ability to lie through his teeth and to protect his fighters is uncanny.
He's not protecting the cans. The cans are just
the cans are meant to be crushed, Bobby.
It sounds like he says that MVP is getting a title shot next at 170 pounds.
Who's the champ?
I mean, okay.
Do we have one?
Douglas Lima.
Okay, let's roll that one back then.
I'm just saying, like, we're not even going to make him beat Koreshkov. Like, Koreshkov's tall and lanky. I would love to see that fight.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You know what? I'm excited to watch MVP fight anybody good.
In the off chance MVP does actually fight Lima again and beats Lima, oh, that's going to be the end of the fucking world, man. This man is going to be uncorrigible. Like, you won't be able to shut this dude up.
I mean, okay.
He'll be a little bit.
You know how easy it is to tune out Bellator, Mike. You know how easy it is to tune out Bellator. Fucking PFL's gonna have better ratings than Bellator this week. Okay, he's on ESPN. All right. All right. And Sergio Pettis is a good fighter, man.
Yeah,
there's no other way to put it. Sergio Pettis went out there, took that title from pimp hat wearing Juan Archuleta. Marcus, that right hand, woo, just landing all damn night long. That counter right.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we're hard on both the Pettises because again, kind of like MVP, there's a lot of potential there that we've just not.
Why did we also swoop them together
with it?
We go with the one paintbrush. I feel with the Pettis brothers a lot too.
Sure. But I mean, Sergio has had his own troubles in the UFC. Even though I think he was obviously a bit lower than his brother, not having fought for a title and kind of hovering in the mid 15s range. When he made the move to Bellator, I thought like this could be a really good home for him. This is the talent range, which is still very high. Like, don't get it confused. Like, the guys at Bellator are legit, just like the guys at PFL and just like the guys at ONE FC. Like, when you're in these top echelon leagues, you can kind of mix them together. We give a lot of prestige to the UFC, but all these guys are legit. And this was a place where I thought he could maybe make a name and build some confidence. And that's exactly what he's done. Now he's captured the belt, which is awesome. And let's see where he goes from here. But he looked good in this fight. And, as a young fighter, that's what you look for. You want to see him improve fight after fight. And he looked like of championship material, obviously, because he got that belt. So let's see where he goes from here.
Bellator has a ranking system now, by the way.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, Michael Page apparently was ranked number 2 at welterweight. Behind a guy who's facing Douglas Lima, Yaroslav Amosov. That's what's happening at Bellator 260. I'm not sure what event just number that was, to be honest.
It's
That
hard
just
to keep
happened.
track, yeah.
Do they lose Koreshkov? I don't even see him ranked anymore. That'd be a bummer. Anyway, by the way, Michael Page didn't even win this fight at 170 pounds. It was 175 pounds.
I know. I think his last 2 fights, or maybe even 3,
That
have
definitely
been
means
catchweight.
this is some Conor McGregor shit, man. You just win fights in other weight classes, come back and fight for titles. That's what it makes perfect sense.
I mean, hey, he's got to make 170 if he's fighting for the title.
I don't think he's ever missed either. It's an interesting thing.
I guess you don't miss if they're giving you catch weights. I guess if he has the foresight and he has Daddy Coker to be like, please, Daddy, give me 5 more pounds. And he's like, you got it, son, no problem.
Yeah, I think he just heard that Paul Daly claimed he was the champion of this fictional weight class.
Do
Like,
that. Do that
wait a
fight again,
minute.
I guess. Do 175, and then you ring your bell all you want.
Just do that fight again and just say it's kickboxing. Let's just fuck up and just, not fuck around and mess up here. Let's just say it's kickboxing. There we go. All right, some news this week. We mentioned Scotty Coker's bullshit. We lost Edmund Shabazian and Dancing Jack Hermanson from this card this weekend, which would have been it was going to be nice to see where Edmund was at, quite frankly. There's a lot of hype behind the kid, and it kind of, Derek Brunson kind of really grinded that shit to a halt. And I don't know if Edmund's fought since then, because I'm really paying attention to him.
I don't think so. I think he lost that fight and all the momentum just kind of shriveled up, and this was going to be a comeback fight, see if he can get back on the winning side, but we'll have to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah. Now, we also had this week the Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather kerfuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Which, was it a work? Was it a shoot? I was positive it was a work. Mike's comments on the hair, though, are interesting. I did not think about that, because Mark, his hair looks fucked up. Like, people making fun of his hair all week now.
Yeah. So, what we talked about beforehand is that I gave you guys definitive evidence that this was in fact a shoot, not a work. And this comes from the black community. There is no way in hell that the way Floyd Mayweather's hair looked, all frayed and looked like there was no Bayesian in his hair. His shit looked fucked up, right? There's no way that man is letting his hat being taken off, for publicity. All right.
Well, okay.
There's one thing a black man
second.
ain't gonna allow you to do is let his shit look all fucked up.
Let me ask this question, because I know Mark's not going to, so I'll ask it. What's Bayesian?
You were right. I was not going to ask. I don't know what that means.
I apologize. I kind of just assumed you guys knew what Bayesian was. And why the fuck would you know what Bayesian is? Essentially, what Bayesian is, it's like a high grade chia seeds that black dudes that are bald and will put on their head. So it makes it look like they have hair. Have you ever seen how LeBron James during his media shoots, he's got his perfect hairline back?
Yeah,
she looks real symmetrical and shit. But then, in the fourth quarter, in the 52nd game, you see his shit is struggling. That's because the Bayesian isn't there anymore.
Okay, I'm learning stuff today.
I mean, what I was gonna say is, I think again, like we mentioned at the top of the show, I think perspective. Who are you asking? Was it a work? Because if you're talking about Jake Paul, yeah, it was a work. He literally made a video before he did it. It's like, I'm gonna steal this dude's hat, and then did you guys see that TikTok video? It was cracking me the fuck up. I'm slowly becoming a Jake Paul fan. I don't like it, but it's funny as fuck. He's like, I'm going to steal Floyd's hat. Then they show the video where he does, and they play, I can't remember what song they play. It was some hip hop song where everyone's everyone getting crazy, and they all start rushing him. And the video cuts to him walking back into his hotel room. His shirt is ripped to shreds. He's covered in sweat. And he's like, it went well. I think he said, oh no, because the first part was I'm going to steal his hat. I'll tell you how it goes. And then he steals it. All shit breaks loose. But really, if this was a work, I don't know why Floyd would agree to this, because he just gets punked. You just have this guy that's a bully, take your hat, make you look small, and then his reaction is he flips out. I mean, I would have done the same thing. It's this weird, the taking of the hat is such a weird power play move. And it is why, Jake Paul is an asshole, and I almost don't want to say idiot, but he's good at figuring out where that line is, how he can get close to it. Because what, are you gonna kill somebody because he took your hat? You're gonna beat some dude up because he took your hat? No, because then you look like a fucking idiot. but you take his hat and it fucks with your pride. That
In
fucks with
fairness,
the man's
in fairness,
pride.
Mark, there are people in jail because someone smudged their Jordans.
I know. Chappelle did a whole skit on it on repeated episodes of when, things go bad. But I mean, that's the thing is like, as someone, I think we've all gotten picked on and bullied. Like, that's a really stupid thing to get upset about. Some guy taking your hat, but it's just like, that's an ego thing. That's a man taking my property without me being able to stop it, and you feel powerless. And you can tell Floyd felt this is a guy that does not feel powerless in his life. He has the money. He commands these giant men around him all day to do his bidding. No one fucks with this man. No one takes this man's hat. Are you fucking kidding me? That hat stays on my head because I have not done my hair yet. I have not got the Chia Pet plugs like Mike's talking about that we all learned about a few minutes ago. I instantly forgot the name of. But Bayesian.
Like the city.
And that's why, like, when that happened, he flipped out, man. That was an ego thing. That was a thing fucking with his pride. And that is a man that does not deal with that well. And that's why I didn't think it was a work. I mean, from Jake Paul,
do you think Connor the whole time is watching this like, fuck, I should have stole his hat? Connor's like, I didn't think to steal this motherfucker's hat. I stole the other guy's belt.
Yeah, exactly.
I could steal this guy's hat.
Literally grabbed him on his head. If you guys want to see a real funny picture from that, there's a black and white picture of Floyd Mayweather after his hat gets stolen. If you go to Charlemagne the God's Instagram post, the shit looks like some shit straight out of the 1960s civil rights movement. It looks like he is fighting the fight, man. It is hilarious.
I saw it happen, and I immediately was like, I gotta go to 50 Cent's Instagram because I know where 50 Cent's at in this feud. 50 Cent is the most. 50 Cent has no fucking problems. 50 Cent makes fun of Floyd for not being able to read. All right, that's 50 Cent. So he had comments on how bad Floyd's hair looked, and I immediately sent him the mic.
It's kind of what makes it great, right? Is like, we don't like either of these guys. I don't care about two assholes like punking each other and bullying on each other. It's like, yeah, go ahead and take his fucking hat. Go ahead and beat the shit out of this white punk. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, for me, it's all circus and fun and games, and I'm loving it.
All right. Let's just make some picks because I want to do stuff we like. Go ahead.
Real quick to talk about what 50 Cent wrote. What the fuck going on Champ Head? I heard he had pubic hairs put on his face.
It's like it's the dumbest insults too. It's wonderful. It's not even a little clever. Makes
Back
me
on
so
the
happy.
playground, boys. Back on the playground.
It's just, doesn't matter how fucking big you think you are, Floyd. This motherfucker's gonna make fun of your stupid ass hair. All right, UFC 262 this weekend, coming to you from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Fun fact: I have stayed at the Sheraton that is attached to the Toyota Center.
Sounds fancy.
It's not. I was staying at the hotel,
Bobby.
and there was also like a child beauty pageant going on or something during the thing
creepy.
because I was on the hotel. I was in the elevator going up with a bunch of like little kids and their mamas all done up, and I was like, "This is the weirdest fucking place I've ever been in my life." And I've been to Houston many times, and that statement stands. Not a good place. If you live in Houston, it's not a good place. All right, why is everything a one-way road? Fix that shit. Anyway, coming to you from the Toyota Center. Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler fighting for the vacant, I guess, UFC lightweight championship. Co-main event, Tony Ferguson, my man, Beneil Dariush. We got Caitlin Chukagian, Vivian Arujo. I always say her name. I've never got her name right once. Don't know how to say it properly. Finally, Shane Burgos, Edson Barboza. This whole card is full of a bunch of pick'em fights. And got a couple fights on here. The Barboza and Ferguson ones where you can tell the odds makers are like, where are these guys? Are they done being top 5, top 10? Or are they not done? This is very much a hardcore MMA fan's card. It even more so was that when Nate Diaz was on the card, quite frankly, against Edwards. And shit, we had Shabazian and Jack Hermanson. Marcus, this isn't a bad card by any means, but it was sick about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, before we just lost Edmund, it was a decent card. With Nate, it was fantastic, So I mean, when you build up a big card like this, and fights tend to fall through, the overall product tends to hurt, especially when, we're going to talk mostly about the main card here, but you get into those prelims and they're not super strong. I think if you had a really strong card, you could have a little bit more leeway in those prelims and pull something up and still not lose too much value. But it's definitely taking a little bit of a dive with some of these absence things, but still good.
Are you at the point yet, Mike, where you see Lando Venato's name and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever? Or do you still get a little okay, maybe I'll see Lando do his thing?
No.
You're done?
No, the time to be hyped about Lando has long passed. There's only one Lando I recognize, and that's Calrissian.
Fair enough.
Very good.
Andrea KGB Lee, Antonio Shevchenko, though, something to check out on the prelims. Miss Shevchenko has just become a commercial pilot.
I saw a UFC video about her piloting or something. I didn't watch it, but I was like, okay, that's weird.
She is actually the older sister, too.
Yeah.
She is the older sister. I did not know that. I did not think about it. I don't know why I always assumed that. It was my own mind assumes the better one is the older sibling because I am the older sibling myself. That's what I assume.
Who got you that PS5 last week, Bobby?
That's true.
Who got you that PS5?
You got me my PS5. He's going to babysit my dog. I should be nicer. All right. Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. I think the Ben Folks' podcast calls Charles Oliveira Chucky Olives, which I really every nickname they come up on that fucking podcast. I mean, they're responsible for Bobby Knuckles. Just saying,
they got good nicknames. We got it.
Yeah, they got good nicknames. Charles Oliveira, my man, making no effort to learn English, 0 effort. Out here doing charity work. Charles Oliveira is on a fucking roll, people. Charles Oliveira has not lost a fight since December 2017. Since then, he has won 8 straight. In those 8 fights, he's got 7 goddamn finishes. The only one he didn't finish was Tony Ferguson. And wasn't there a point in that first round where we thought Tony Ferguson's arm wasn't going to be functional anymore?
Saved by the bell, really.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Chandler been in the UFC for about 25 minutes. Came in, knocked out Dan Hooker in a mean way. Mean way. Put him down about 2.5 minutes into the fight. Really felt bad for Dan Hooker, man. He had to quarantine for 2 weeks again afterwards, then go home. Real shit way to spend your time. Betting odds for this one.
Yeah, we got Charles is -135 and Chandler is at +115. So Oliveira the slight favorite.
I've seen both these guys lose a lot of fights. I realized that. I was thinking about this fight earlier.
Been around for a while.
They've been doing this a long time. I still contend that we are not getting the best version of Michael Chandler. I think that was a couple years ago. But we're still getting a pretty goddamn good version because knocking out Dan Hooker is not easy. Charles Oliveira, if he wins this title, I'm not sure he's going to have to defend it because he has fought everybody in this weight class. He has been in this weight class since he was like 12 years old.
Has he fought Poirier?
Probably. I don't know. Maybe he
like he has.
I don't think he fought Poirier. He hasn't fought Gaethje. So there's a couple key guys up there that he hasn't fought yet. That'll be great. Those are fun fights.
I love this. Can I just say I love this weight class? I don't give a shit who wins any fights. Just keep booking the fights. Let me see them. I got Charles Oliveira. He's on fire. And I think that Michael Chandler has got the advantage in power. I think hands-wise, overall skills hands-wise, I think it's probably pretty close. Oliveira's really gotten better on his feet. Way better. Michael Chandler's got a distinct wrestling advantage. Michael Chandler would be a fucking moron to go to the ground with Charles Oliveira. All right? I do not think it goes well for him on the ground, personally. I think we might actually see the opposite happen of Oliveira getting on top of Michael Chandler, and I think that might be at a place where he can really put it away. I think over 5 rounds, it is not... I think if I'm picking Charles Oliveira, it means I'm picking him to get a finish. He does not go to decision that often. He's got 30 wins and 3 fucking decisions. 3. Okay, and Michael Chandler's tough. You don't just get to go with the name Iron just because, you wanted to steal it like Mike Tyson did or anything. But yeah, I got Oliveira. I think it's going to be really good though too. But slight favorite, right? So Chucky Olives getting that belt. Marcus, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it is a really compelling match. I think it is very close. It's undeniable what Oliveira has been able to do, not even in his last stint, but just throughout his career. This was a guy that was a prospect when he jumped into the UFC. And yeah, he's lost some big fights here and there, especially at 145. 55 seems to agree with him a lot more. I am going to go with Chandler. There's not a lot of, analysis. I mean, I think what you said, Bobby, is true. I think on the stand-up, he's going to have a little heavier hands. Oliveira is going to have a more well-rounded game stand-up. I think he throws a lot more kicks, especially in the clinch. He has pretty good knees. I'm really just going with Michael just because he's put in. I mean, I was about to say he's put in a lot of work in the fight game, and not getting a lot of credit being in Bellator. But it's like, so is Charles, dude. Like, this weight division is so insane that you have to get 8 wins in a row and finish 7 of them to get a crack at the title is asinine and insane.
Well, do you know what it is, Marcus? That's part of the reason I'm picking Oliveira is because he seems like Tony Ferguson in that they're like, this motherfucker's never getting another title shot. It took him this long to get one. They obviously didn't want to give one to him sooner than this.
I think luckily what it does come down to is it's very difficult to get that shot because the weight class is just filled with talent. It's hard to have a consistent run, and the champion's always been a little up in the air. We had Conor, and then he was gone, and then it took forever for Khabib to get it, and then he was out with injuries. But I do feel like once you get to that title contender match, like Gaethje's still in the game, Poirier's still hanging around, Ferguson's still even around. So I think once you get there, it's easier for them to slot you in. But when you haven't had that title shot, it is astronomical to get to the place where they're fighting at. Yeah, I'm going with Chandler. I just like the guy. I've been really impressed with him in Bellator, and I think it'd be a fun champion to get. That's really it.
You know what you got to consider, Marcus, here?
Mm-hmm.
Oliveira doing all this charity, right? If Oliveira wins, okay, these are the 2 options next. He's fighting Dustin, also doing a bunch of charity work. Poirier,
that'd be great.
Which I don't know how the UFC is going to do that. Or Conor McGregor has to somehow shit talk Charles Oliveira, which I don't know how that would even work. I also don't know if Conor's fighting that fight. But
I mean, Bobby, that's easy. When you fight a Brazilian guy who doesn't speak English, you tell him that you saw him feed carrots to a bus or some bullshit. You just make us some racist shit at that point if he really wants.
By the way, I do like at this point, Chael's out there interviewing Anderson, and I kind of feel like, man, guys, kayfabe, man. What I know it was 10 years ago, but come on, man, protect the business.
It's like Mike, Chandler making it interesting, but
Mike, we don't have Stefan's pick, so you split the tie here. Who do we got?
I am going to be going with Oliveira, whereas Michael Chandler's best happened in Bellator. I think we're just entering the prime when it comes to Oliveira. He has a fair amount of losses. He has 8 losses, but when you consider that a lot of them came in bunches, I want to say relatively early in his UFC career, but he's been in the UFC so goddamn long that it was a while ago. I mean, 4 of those losses came in a 2-year period, right? And then from there, it's been off to the races after the Paul Felder loss. I think this is going to be the ascension of Oliveira as champion. And we can be regaled in a UFC champion that knows absolutely no English. And Dana White is going to rip his hair out because he will not have a marketable champion that he can use.
I'm just telling you right now, I bet Stefan's picking Oliveira. Because
I think so.
I'm gonna go ahead and quote Stefan. I don't like Michael Chandler.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. He historically has stated many times he does not like that.
He does not like Michael Chandler. I don't like Michael Chandler much either. Michael Chandler, we can get into it later. Don't worry about it.
I mean, what? He orphaned a small African American child. What's wrong with that?
He did it. Oh wait.
He did the opposite of
That's
orphan.
true. He adopted.
If Michael Chandler orphaned an African American child, it means Michael Chandler probably killed his parents. That's what that means.
Disclaimer: Michael Chandler did not kill a black family.
that was a slip.
Let's move on here. Let's move on. Beneil Dariush, my man, taking on Tony Ferguson. Betting line in this one, Marcus.
Yeah, this one is Dariush is the favorite at minus 155, and Ferguson coming as underdog at 135. So 55.
A little more money in the last 10 minutes has come in on Dariush, actually, moving it to 165. This betting line really seems like, if you told me like a year and a half, 2 years ago that Tony Ferguson is going to be an underdog to Beneil Dariush, the assumption would definitely be what went wrong with Tony Ferguson, right? Because we know Beneil is a tough fighter, but what went wrong? Marcus? He's your guy. You always love picking Tony. Are we done picking Tony here?
Yeah, I mean, I have to pick my underdogs and my favorites smartly here. And really, earlier today I was going to pick Ferguson. I was just thinking like, he's at a bad stretch. But again, you look at those guys like those are the title contenders and title holders right now. But I think what really gives me pause is that Oliveira fight and just how often he was able to get him to the ground. And I do feel Dariush is a better wrestler. So I feel like this is going to be a grappling match. And I think Tony is, he's very sly on the bottom. He's tricky, but kind of like a Diaz brother, I don't want to pick a guy working off his back the whole time, because if Dariush can negate some of the submissions and land some good ground and pound, those, the wiliness starts to evade after some time. So I'm going Dariush. Don't feel super great about it. I think Ferguson isn't getting a lot of love on the odds here because he's had a bad stint, but I still think there's a lot left in that guy. And I think that's the other thing. I think a lot of people thinking he's over the hill. It's all downhill from here. I'm not quite in that camp, but I am going with Dariush. So.
We also got to give Dariush credit here. 6 straight wins over Thiago Moses, Drew Dober, Frank Camacho, Drakkar Klose, Scott Holtzman, and Carlos Diego Ferreira. Not one of these motherfuckers being anywhere near the top 15. Mike, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to be going with Ferguson on this one. One thing I was thinking about over the last few days when I thought about Tony Ferguson is all of his unconventional training methods. And up until 2 fights ago, I think people would have been like, oh, well, that's why he's doing so well. He's crazy. He's unconventional. He does spin, head spins on his head as fucking training and shit. But then you start to think after, he gets pieced up, in his last 2 fights, well, is this because of his unconventional conditioning methods that, he's falling off the cliff quicker than you would expect? I'm not chalking it up to that. I'm chalking it up to he faced 2 very elite people, and it just wasn't his night in those particular nights. I am going to hold out hope that Tony Ferguson is an elite fighter and that he'll be able to handle the business of Dariush.
I got Tony Ferguson.
Ooh, so I'm on the island on my favorite.
Yeah, we'll see. I just don't. Beneil's the only Persian in the UFC, so I tend to root for him, and I will be rooting for him. But I don't know how well this is going to go for him. I don't know. I've seen him lose a lot of fights, I feel.
Fair.
I know he's on a good run here, but anyway, I was just thinking just now. I'm like, if Joshua Fabia was a really good fighter, would he be Tony Ferguson? Would we be willing to accept the crazy if he was just really good at fighting? If he was winning?
If Diego was actually winning fights, yeah, maybe we should all be hanging upside down and taking punches to the head. What do we know?
No, we should not be doing that. That's no.
Caitlin Chukasian, Viviana Arujo. Caitlin's on a 1-fight win streak, win over Cynthia Calvillo. Vivian coming off a back-to-back wins over Montana De La Rosa and Roxanne Modafferi. Betting line for this one, Marcus?
Yeah, Caitlin is the favorite at -135, and Viviana is the underdog at 115.
I'm going to go with that blonde fighter, baby. Blonde fighter for the win, Caitlin Chukasian. I'm more familiar with her. I feel like downplaying her sometimes and just enjoy the nickname. She's ranked high in this weight class. She gets wins. This is a pick'em fight. I'm taking the one I want to win. Caitlin Chukasian. Mike?
Yeah, ditto for me.
Marcus?
Same. I'm not a big Caitlin fan. This is
going to decision, baby.
This is just playing the odds, really. She's never really impressed me. I was shocked she got a title fight. I just think she's never on my radar. Hopefully this is a fight where she can, impress me, because the record and her standings, are something that, should be garnering a lot more respect for me that just aren't, unfortunately.
Yeah, taking on a grappler here in Vivian. But we'll see how it goes. Here's the other fight where I think the odds makers are wondering how much this gentleman has left. Shane Burgos, Edson Barboza. Betting line for this one.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. So Edson is the slight underdog at 105, and Shane is the favorite at -125.
Okay, Edson is losing a lot of fights. Edson has lost 5 of 7, 3 of 4 here. There are a lot of splits in here, though. A lot of splits. Shane, on the other hand, coming off of a loss to Josh Emmett. Before that, wins over Cub Swanson, Kurt Hollowborough, Mahwan Amirkhani. This is a striker versus striker matchup. Shane's got a goddamn black belt under Tiger Schulman. All right, so we're dealing with here striking wise, and Edson's Edson. I'm gonna go with Edson. I think this is gonna be a banger, though. This is gonna be really fun. Mike, what do you think?
It sounds like you were denigrating the great Tiger Schulman in karate.
No, I'm saying this guy's a fucking striker. Tiger Schulman's legit, man.
You know, maybe I'm of the age where I still remember the Tiger Schulman's gyms back in the 90s, where I know they're legitimate MMA gym now, but I still think of those commercials back when I was like 10 years old. I'm still going with Edson. Still has something in the gas tank, though.
Yeah, okay. Can we go to a Tiger Schulman's gym next time I visit? Because to get the tour of the Tiger Schulman situation in New York City. How many's he got?
I don't know. I'm sure there's still one in the city. I know there's one in Hoboken. So
I think they're saying his headquarters is in Elmwood Park.
Elmwood, where the
Elmwood Park, New Jersey.
Oh,
Elmwood Park. All right. Anyway, you got Edson. Marcus, are you gonna? What do you think?
Yeah,
going Edson or going Shane?
Let's get the broom out. Let's sweep it up. I got Edson too. Like you, Bobby. I think this is gonna be a really fun fight. It's gonna be a good striking match, and I think either of these guys could catch the other. But I do think Edson's recent losses are more due to the caliber of opponent, and not so much necessarily that he's done. But you know, if he has,
the split. You see the split decisions. You're like, okay, this could have gone either way. Especially some of those in there. Really could have. Was it the Felder one where we were all just like, I don't know about that one?
Yeah.
That was one for sure. And the Ige one also specifically, I remember thinking like, I thought Ige lost that fight. But anyway. All right. We'll get Stefan's pick and you'll see him up on the website later this week. Other fight on the main card. Legitimately don't know these two gentlemen. Matt Schnell and Matt Schnell's got like 10 UFC fights. I don't know who he is. And Rogerio Bontorin, who has also got like 7 UFC fights. Goddamn. Okay. That's also on the main card, taking the place of Shabazian and Hermanson. No card for Bellator this week. I don't know if PFL has got one, to be honest. I think they might be taking the week off, but I don't want to talk out of school here, so give me one moment. No PFL card. ONE FC is happening, though, with Brandon on all the steroids Vera taking out Arjan Bular for that heavyweight strap. Brandon Vera's only got 24 fights in his career. Seems shocking to me.
You mentioned like a couple weeks ago, like, oh, is Brandon Vera still their heavyweight champion? And I mocked it because I was like, he became champion 5 years ago. No way he still has that belt. And fucker still has it. So what do I know?
Next week, Bellator bringing Cyborg out to fight Leslie Smith again. And nothing about that first fight made us think we need to see it again. And then Paige Van Zandt's husband, Austin Vanderford, also on that card. Mike's favorite Bellator fighter, Valerie Loretta, on the undercard on free TV that week.
I mean, I don't know why she's my favorite fighter. I mean,
Valerie Loretta, one of a couple female MMA fighters are basically running OnlyFans accounts. By the way,
nothing wrong with that.
No, you do get your money, man. Do what you got to do. Paige is raking it, apparently, with hers. Paige Van Zandt?
You don't have to do porn. I mean, really, yeah. What I feel bad about, and I was just talking about this with Christine a couple days ago, like, I feel bad for OnlyFans because there's really no difference between that and Patreon. But, like, There's a certain clientele that went to OnlyFans, and now they've been kind of stigmatized as that type of thing, but it's not always the case. So,
have you been paying attention to this Twitch shit? With, like, the whole hot tub thing or whatever?
I heard about some of the hot tubs.
I need somebody smarter than me. Maybe Stefan watches more Twitch than we do.
Maybe I'm not.
Yeah, because the whole thing about women are trying to are just streaming while in hot tubs. I don't know. Twitch is like half a porn platform now, and people are not comfortable with it.
There have been, before then, they call them like booby streamers or something. There'd be like attractive ladies with cleavage playing games or whatever, and they would garner a fan base. And even then, whatever, man.
You tip them money, and then they write your name on their arm. That's a thing.
Okay, yeah, I mean, whatever your shtick is. I mean, look at how much different is that than like Cutie Pie or whatever, saying your name when you donate them $5. You know,
look, man, cam sites have existed on the internet since the beginning of the internet.
It's becoming more into the focal.
Yo, guys, the world, it's a goddamn pandemic. All right, everyone get paid. How you gonna get paid? All right, whatever, man. Do whichever you got to do. And women's MMA ain't paying shit. All right, get paid. Is what it is. All right, let's do stuff we like. I want to talk about blood and guts. Mike, you ready to talk about some blood and guts?
I feel like we're going to be talking about that for a while, so let's get to it.
Yeah, blood and guts, folks. Marcus, I'm not sure you know what we're going to be talking about here.
No idea.
But blood and guts is AEW's name for a War Games match. They did a traditional War Games match, though, in that they actually have the roof on the War Games match. People aren't wrestling fans. You put two rings right next to each other. You surround the whole fucking thing in a cage. WWE's version doesn't have a roof on the cage. AEW's does, which is also the original way they did a blood and guts match. The way you win is by surrender or submission, which came into play into this match. This match was originally booked over a year ago. It was supposed to be Chris Jericho's Inner Circle faction of 5 gentlemen taking on the Elite of the formerly of the Bullet Club, but the Elite, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, Hangman Page,
blood and guts match.
Kenny Omega. That was going to be the 5-on-5. But then the pandemic happened, and they didn't really have a good way of being like, hey, how are we going to do 2 fucking rings and a cage? They were still filming in a TV studio for the first month or so. The name Blood and Guts was that Vince McMahon tried to denigrate AEW on a conference call with the stockholders in the media early on, saying, they're doing blood and guts over there. We're not like that. This is Vince McMahon, who lit a man on fire a couple months ago in wrestling ring, by the way. So the AEW is like, fuck it, we'll call it blood and guts. A year plus later, the match ended up being still the Inner Circle, Jericho's faction, taking on the Pinnacle, MJF's new faction. So we had on one side MJF, Shawn Spears, who was formerly the Perfect 10 in WWE, Dash and or Dax and Cat. I don't know what are their fucking names in AEW.
Dax and Cash Wheeler.
No,
isn't that it?
Is it? Okay, FTR, and then the 5th member was the War Dog, Wardlow. I love Wardlow. Other side, we had Jericho, Santana Ortiz, Jake Hager, and my favorite, Sammy Guevara. These gentlemen beat the fuck out of each other. It was bloody as shit. They were all gigging, giving themselves, the cuts above the head. Sammy Guevara did a Spanish fly to Shawn Spears where they were in opposite rings. If it's hard to, and standing on the middle rope, that was sick, Mike. Sammy did a coast to coast. Sammy ate shit doing a springboard and went face first into the mat. Everybody was bleeding. At one point, Jericho ended up on top of the cage with MJF. And Jericho's team had to surrender because MJF threatened to throw Jericho's old ass off the cage. So they had to surrender. And then MJF in true heel fashion still threw Jericho's 50-year-old ass off the cage. Jericho landed through a piece of cardboard that was painted to look like steel into a crash pad. People got all butthurt about it. Motherfucker's 50 years old. All right? It's okay. It's wrestling. We don't need to see him die. That match fucking was awesome for me, Mike. It was about halfway through. I was just like, this is on free TV, huh? We're just doing this on free TV, not a pay-per-view? Okay. They obliterated it ratings-wise. It's the first time a wrestling program not run by the WWE was #1 cable broadcast on television since WCW. First time. So 20 years. I thought it was awesome. Some shit like, there was times where I'm like, guys, calm down. You don't need to kill yourselves. It's free TV. It's a lot of blood. Enough of you are bleeding. It's all good. But they just beat each other up. It was a physical match. It looked like they sold it like they hated each other. I like the surrender thing. I know some people didn't. But, when there's no pinfall or anything, I thought that was a cool, way to do things. I would have rather not had commercials. That was my one critique. But I'm not sure how much control they have over that. So, that was what I thought of it. Mike, what'd you think? Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I really enjoyed it. There were certain parts of the match where, honestly, like, I thought, whoa, that looks like that spot they almost ate shit and they almost actually really
it mostly involved my guy Sammy. It mostly involved my guy Sammy too.
And after it happened a few times, I thought, oh no, that is the charm of this match, where it's not meant to be pretty. It's meant to be gritty. It's meant to be dirty. It's meant to be raw. and and then everyone started bleeding on themselves, and I really enjoyed it. I also like one thing that AEW is doing in that, it's very old school in the aspect that there's only like 3 pay-per-views all year, right? There's Double or Nothing. There's 4.
Double or Nothing. Yeah, it's Revolution, Double or Nothing, All Out, and Full Gear. Those are the 4.
All right. And one thing I'm liking is that they will build up some regular Wednesday cards, almost like pseudo pay-per-views. I almost like to equate them as like the bullshit that's happening on WWE this Sunday, WrestleMania Backlash, where it's a quote unquote pay-per-view, but no one I guess people give a shit a bit about it, but it's not a pay-per-view anyone really cares about, right? Whereas what AEW is doing is that they're also trying to have it where it's like, hey, come watch the actual TNT product as well. And they'll build up to certain, Wednesday cards where it's like, we're going to have a huge event going on. So I really, really did enjoy that. I guess 5 people were butthurt that some of the matches had been pre-recorded for Blood and Guts. So the actual only live match during Blood and Guts was the main event. So people at Daly's Place apparently, all they were able to see was the actual live event, and then everything else was pre-recorded. But come on, you saw that match. Why are you asking for a refund? That was just a good time.
Yeah, that was really good. The other thing I had this week, Dark Side of the Ring came back. Mike, did you finish it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Dark Side of the Ring, which we've talked about this on this show since it started out. Vice television program, 1 hour documentaries about professional wrestling. They call it Dark Side of the Ring because it's generally the not so pleasant stories. And the season premiere was a 2-parter about Flying Brian Pillman, the late great loose cannon. And it was it was nice that I remembered things the way, and my memory is better than I thought it was, where I thought, did they really do a scene where Brian pulled a gun out and you heard a bang and the screen went dark and you thought, did Brian shoot Stone Cold Steve Austin? And that's what happened. That was exactly how it happened. I remember thinking Brian was crazy. He was, turns out. Man's career was really derailed by a bad car accident where he was on pain pills for much of his WWE run. And then he OD'd and died. Or did he OD, or was it heart failure? Basically, he took too many pills at some point or another. The whole part about how his family has had to cope with his death was fucking depressing. And yeah. Brian Pillman Jr. talking about how he's had a stepdad who just beat the fuck out of him and trained his dog to attack the kid. And then when his stepdad found that he had a GameCube, he just took it and smashed it. And no, the guy lost his dad. He never really grew up with a dad, and then his mom was a junkie. And, it was, sad, but it was just, this show is so well done. And I know this isn't just a shit on the WWE thing, and I get why they do this, but when they put on a documentary, you get a real revisionist history, and they talk, it's really self-glorifying a lot of times, and it's sweeping the negative shit under the rug. You're never going to hear them mention Chris Benoit on WWE TV ever again, that type of thing. It's nice that this exists. I think it's interesting. I can't wait for the episode they're going to do about the collision in Korea, which was when WCW went to North Korea and put on a wrestling show. Ric Flair came with them. Muhammad Ali was there too. Muhammad Ali said some stuff when he was there. The topics this season are great, and that's one of them. They're going to do an Ultimate Warrior one. I can't wait for the Ultimate Warrior one, because the WWE shoves bullshit about Ultimate Warrior down your throat every year. And Ultimate Warrior was a horrible person. Said a lot of really negative shit.
I know nothing about the Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior for the longest time was just on the internet calling everybody, pardon my language, calling everybody a faggot. Just what he did. He was the wrestling version of Ted Nugent, is what he was for the longest time. He'd go to colleges and say horrible things. But then they named at the end, he made nice. They named an award after him, and they give it to a nice person every year. The Warrior Award. I like that show a lot, though. I'm happy it's on. I'm glad that it's the most popular show on Vice, though, because it's wrestling. You don't know sometimes something's going to do well or not, but you've learned over the years that while there are fewer wrestling fans, they will support the shit out of whatever exists. So that's all I got this week. Mike, what do you got?
A very quick thing for me this week. As we get older, we come face to face with our mortality and with our bodies getting more rickety and not able to do the things that we were able to do when we were younger. In my case, I have started running more and more as the spring starts to fade into summer in about a month. And your boy is starting to get a lot more aches and pains. The back is hurting a lot more. My left butt cheek was really hurting earlier today after a run, and my left knee is really hurting. So I had to bust out the old TENS machine. What's a TENS machine? It's basically a thing where you just slap on some stickies and it sends some electrodes into your muscles. It is beautiful. I love it. And I am washed like a motherfucker. That's all I got.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to watch that show you watched, though, that Jupiter shit.
Oh, yeah, and Jupiter Ascending. It was good. I binged it yesterday.
I think Mark and I are both going to try to watch it.
Machine. For you guys that are washed, get yourself a TENS machine. $20 on Amazon. Get the one where you don't have to put batteries in, because that can get annoying after a while.
Marcus, what do you got this week?
Yeah, not a ton this week. Actually, the two things I want to talk about, I actually watched a couple weeks ago, and I just forgot to mention them on the show. So I did go back and catch the rest of the HBO show Crashing, which is Pete Holmes' show with, who's that guy that does Apatow? Judd Apatow helped, he was executive producer, and I think he directed some episodes. I watched Crashing when it first came out a couple of years ago, and I'm a really big Pete Holmes fan. I think he's a great stand-up. I loved when the Pete Holmes show, which was like his late night show, I thought was fantastic. It was my favorite late night show of all time, hands down. His monologue every day that he did this show was just fantastic. So when I heard he was doing kind of a drama sitcom, I was really excited, but the first season, it really took me a while to really gravitate towards it. I think Pete in the beginning is kind of not like a super likable character. But I will say, once I gave it another shot, finished the first season, and got into the second and third, the show does get a lot better, and I really enjoyed the second and third seasons. And kind of wish it got more. I think they could have done more with the show, but I was happy with where they left off on. So yeah, I mean, if you're a Pete Holmes fan I would recommend, if you've never heard of Pete Holmes, check out some of his stand-up first. And if you're so obliged, Crashing, I thought was a pretty decent HBO show. You can find that on HBO now, Max. It's Max now. Yes. The other show I stumbled upon on Netflix that I really liked is called Great News. I don't know if you guys heard about this. This was another Tina Fey sitcom that was on NBC. It only lasts 2 seasons. But I will say, for my personal taste, this is my favorite Tina Fey show, which I know the other shows that I know Mike and I know Bobby's a big fan. I don't know if Mike, you watch 30 Rock, right? I think I like a fair
amount of seasons, yeah.
Yeah, like I like Tina Fey's show more than I give them credit for, because really the shows are just fucking jokes. It is jokes on jokes on jokes, like and they're usually pretty good fucking jokes. But with a lot of her shows, whether it was 30 Rock or Kimmy Schmidt, there's just some characters on the show like I just don't care for that much. That kind of just grain me for whatever way, because like they act like extra kind of foolish or silly, or I just can't really get on board. And I mean, Great News is basically just about like one of these 24/7 news channels, and they have like an hour show they do every day. That's basically the basic premise, not that far different from 30 Rock, but I just really enjoyed it. None of the characters I found super grating. And again, just jokes on jokes on jokes. And I think a lot of them hit. I really enjoyed the show. You can tell just watching it that it was struggling to get ratings. The first season, Tina Fey was just an executive producer. And the second season, you can tell they're like, look, we need to get more eyes on this thing. Tina Fey, get in front of that camera. So she does some guest spots, and it wasn't enough to turn around the show. It only got 2 seasons, but I really enjoyed it. So Great News is out on Netflix. And then the last thing I want to mention, usually we keep this part of the show un-MMA related. But I did mention earlier on, we didn't talk about it much on the show. We're thinking about doing another podcast. And of that, we got Fight Pass. And of that, I started looking at Fight Pass more, and I'm like, damn, I really like Fight Pass a lot.
Dude, Fight Pass got everything, bro.
I mean, there's really very little that they don't have. And even one of the things I was trying to look up was like Shuto events. When I looked up Shuto, I couldn't find anything, but I looked up Hayato Sakurai, and I found a bunch of his Shuto fights. I was like, fuck yeah.
Do they have Elite XC? They do, right?
Probably do. I didn't look it up. I did not specifically. I think my road was, I was looking for the thing that we were going to talk about, and then I just started looking at fighters, and I think the rabbit hole that I really got stuck down in, because it was one thing that, when I was really getting into MMA, when I was in college and just couldn't get enough of this stuff, and there wasn't a lot of it to gobble up. I didn't catch a lot of K1 stuff, so I've been catching up on a lot of K1 stuff. And I was going to say, for Mike and Steph, that like anime tournament arcs, talk about an organization for you. Every event's a Grand Prix. Every event's a one-night tournament.
Wait, they have K1?
Yeah, they have all.
They have the K1 library?
Yeah, they have all of the K1. They don't have K1 Max, which is really unfortunate because Max was their lighter divisions, which I thought like those fights were just, that would have been a gold mine. But just regular K1 is really cool. So I went, I looked up Gary Goodridge, and it's, it's sad to know where, all these fights led. And like, when you look at it, it's like, man, like I knew he fought in K1. I didn't know he was in K1 this long. Like he was in there for years, doing work. But yeah, I missed a lot of K1 fights. So going back there and just looking at old semi-shield fights, and I watched a Gary Goodridge. I was about to watch one of his fights, and I was like, you know what? I just want to watch this whole tournament. So I found the event, watched the event. It's been fun. As someone that really likes MMA of the past, like Bobby said, they damn near got everything. I look up Dan Severn, 50 fights of Severn and King of the Cage and all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's tough to recommend. There's so much just UFC, not to mention just MMA on a weekly basis that, we hardly cover.
Do they do the thing, Marcus, on there where like, let's say like I look up Nick Diaz, right? And it shows me Nick Diaz versus BJ Penn, UFC 137. Does it take me to the event and it puts me at the main event?
They've actually cut all the fights.
They cut every fight?
So I don't know about every fight. Like, I don't know if you look up like some of the lesser known guys, if they cut up their fights. But like, yeah, when I look up Hato Sakurai, it'll be his fights and then the events he was in too. So yeah, if you just want to see,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you just want to see Nick and BJ, that's super easy to find. If you want to watch the whole event he's in, that's there too. But yeah, that was really what I started looking up, was just like, oh, I want to see like who's a fighter that I want to check a fight. Oh my God. One of the rabbit holes I went down to was like, I did not know this. Looked up Genki Sudo. A lot of his fights were in K1 Heroes, which they also don't have K1 Heroes, their MMA thing. But he had a couple Pancrase fights, and I didn't fucking know. He was in the Neo Blood tournament, which was like a tournament they did for like their rookies. And the guy he lost to he's one of the refs in Pride. Like, I've seen this guy a million times. I was like, is that the fucking ref? Because they have one ref that's like a young, look at, no homo, but like, he's a good looking guy. I think he's a pretty good looking guy. And so I recognized him when I saw him, and I was like, is that fucking guy? And one thing I learned is like, when he was an MMA fighter, he was fucking cocky and kind of a bully. He was like bullying Sudo, and he beat Sudo too. I think in the next fight I didn't see, he lost to Minowa, man. So it's, I mean, man, the things you learn, like I seen this guy ref 1,000 fights, and I was like, I didn't know he was an active fighter, let alone he fought Genki Sudo and Pancrase. So that was fun.
Yeah, Mark mentioned it. We are working on another show. We're not going to give you guys too many details yet because, well, we don't have any details ourselves.
We're working it out. We're workshopping it.
We're working it out, but there's going to be, more content that is not going to be tied to the week-to-week news of MMA. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. We'll actually get to the point where we'll ask and see if you guys have any thoughts on what you want to hear from us in this category. But let's not put the cart before the horse.
Yeah,
there.
I didn't even want to mention it, just that we got Fight Pass, and I was surprised at how much I was enjoying it. There was one day where I was like going through a bunch of stuff. I was like, this ain't so bad.
Do you know how excited I was to find that I still had a $100 Visa gift card?
Oh,
and I was like, awesome. I can buy this, and then I can trust UFC, or continue to not trust them, for them to just give this thing out. They give my credit card information out and unprotect their fucking website. Because let me tell you, I think it came out to like 97 whatever. It was a $100 gift card. I don't know where it is anymore. Because it's $2 on there. What am I going to do? It's gone. They can try to charge it again in a year. It's not going to work. So, anyway. All right. That's it for this week. UFC 262 this weekend. Check it out. We got anything else?
Not really. Not really.
Recommendation?
I think that's about it.
Yeah. Just try to get a PS5, guys. It's fun.
Sure,
Or don't.
get right
Save
on
your
that.
money. Get a PS5 or buy glasses like Mike did today. Whatever you want
Oh,
to
there
do.
you go.
However you
Now
want
he's
to-
seen an
whatever-
HD, baby.
I bought a thin Harry Potter metal frame type glasses today. I'm very excited.
Cool.
Exactly. I look forward to you losing it in Las Vegas in a week and a half. All right, guys. Thank you all very much for listening to the show. Be back next week. Talking about the results of UFC 262 and whatever this card is that's happening after UFC 262. I'm sure there is one. It's Memorial Day. It's not Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure there's a card either way. There better be because I plan on betting on it. I was Dr. Law. That was Lavender Gooms. And that was DJ Mark. Thanks again. See y'all next week. Peace out.
See ya.
Peace.